So my kids and wife have been steadily trying to work on our peeps. So today we went to Tractor Supply and we picked up 24. We have a mix of Isa Browns. We have some Black Asians. We have Rhode Island Reds, and what else do we get?
Those are the smoky pearls.
Smoky pearls?
The smoky pearls are the ones with the dots on the feathers and
Yes.
stuff. And those are 2 Rhode Island Reds in here. We have the Asians in here and 2 Rhode Island Reds in here. And in here we have the 2 Rhode Island Reds and the Isa Browns.
Okay. So we've got a little bit of a mix here, about 24 pullets, as well as several, possibly what may turn into several roosters eventually. They had the Black Asians were pullets, as were the Isa Browns. What do we say? The speckled pearls. What were these?
Those are smoky pearls.
Smoky pearls were pullets, but
one of them were straight runs.
yes, but the Rhode Island Reds were straight runs.
Yes.
So we have a mix here in this case. We may end up with all pullets in the end, or we could end up with a few roosters mixed in here too. So we'll have to wait and see. As of right now, we don't know 100%. Birds are very happy right now. They're doing the usual thing. So whenever you're raising birds, one thing that we tend to look for when they're first starting out as peeps, we want to make sure that the temperature is right for them. Now, I have the benefit here of having an office space that we use for a variety of different things, for my personal for work, for what I do for a living, but then also to be able to use in this case for starting out pullets or peeps in this case. And what we like to do is to make sure that the temperature inside the room itself is already at a reasonable level. So I typically keep the office here overnight around 60 degrees in the wintertime, and then in the daytime whenever I'm here, it's usually around 70 degrees. Sometimes it'll bump up to a few degrees more than that, especially in the heat of the day. Just the sun itself bakes on the side of the office, and that does make it warmer in here. So we end up with that. So we want to make sure that the temperature's right, and even in a climate-controlled environment like this, you still need to make sure that there is supplemental heat that's going into the chickens. We have heat lamps that are present here for heat. The heat lamps are focused usually close to one end. I don't like to keep the heat lamps in the middle because if the birds really want to get away from the heat lamp, they need to have a way of doing that. Just like you or I are not always tempered the same, in the sense that we don't always like the same temperature. The same thing is true with animals too. Sometimes they may end up needing to regulate or down-regulate their temperature or up-regulate the temperature, and they do that based upon their external environment here in this case. Basically more than anything, that is to move towards or away from a heat source. Just like a child would move, more towards a parent if it's cold, further away if it's not. For example, here we've also are using 2 different kinds of feeders for the chickens. We have the blue with the lid, and we've got a clear with no lid on top. We've run into problems with these that tend to either miss their lid, where the lid ends up getting broken, or it doesn't come with them. Where the chickens, when they get a little bit older, you may have to clean that area. So I do like these that do have the lids on them. It also prevents them from jumping on there as easily and trying to roost or then jump off of their food container onto the sides of their enclosure and then try to get out. One thing I do like about these blue feeders is they do come with these legs, and you are able to add those whenever the chickens get a little bit older, so that you're able to get the feed closer to them. Now, right now, obviously, that is not an issue. We want to try to make it lower, so having the legs off just makes sense right now. The waters, we're using the same water in all 3 of our enclosures currently. So we are doing that. Right now, none of them are really interested. They're more interested in the food. A couple of them are resting. Whenever we brought them here, I think about half a dozen of them, 6 of them, were already asleep by the time we got back to the office here.
The smoky pearls.
The smoky pearls had already fallen asleep, and it appears that they're the quieter of all of the 4 breeds that we currently have in here right now. The smoky pearls are. So we'll have to wait and see, but they appear to be pretty quiet. You see this little guy right here, just chirping away. They are really cute whenever they're this age, but I will be honest, after about 3 or 4 weeks, that cuteness does wear off. Anyways, some of these are, pretty well adjusted well to their new environment. Of course, their new environment matches pretty close to their old environment. The setup we have here is very similar to what you find in a Tractor Supply. Essentially a high-walled enclosure, heat lamp, food and water source. So by the time that they get to us, they've already somewhat adapted to that type of an environment anyways. So it's not too much of a shock for them whenever we introduce them into our enclosure and our setup. We do have the ability of turning the heat lamps on or off depending on the temperature, depending on what we're looking at. They do stay on overnight though, so the birds can stay warm as long as there's no immediate threats or issues of any type of overheating. Then they typically will end up keeping these on. And like I said, the temperature in here in the office itself stays around 60 degrees overnight. So usually early on, I've noticed that the birds will typically stay close to the heat source for the first couple of weeks. And then after about 2 weeks, they're kind of wandering around a lot more, and they're pretty well staying further and further away. And usually after about 3 or 4 weeks, I'm really able to just do away with the heat lamp entirely in this environment at that point, anyways, and just let the natural the natural heat source, the heater here in the office, take over, and then may upregulate the temperature to around 70 degrees inside the office overnight. That way the birds themselves are generally comfortable and they don't have any issues. And then shortly after that, we're able to start the process of transitioning them over to more of their intermediate environment anyways, where they'll be going to next. So that's about it for right now. We'll bring you another update probably in about a week to show you their forward progress and how they're looking and how they're doing. I am interested in some of these, specifically these smoky pearls. I have never I've never really seen a whole lot of information on that breed specifically. So I am interested in seeing how those will do, as well as the black Asians too. I've seen a variety of different breeds in the past that were predominantly black breeds. The black sex lynx being one of those. The New Jersey Giants, the black giants, I've seen those. And we've actually raised some of those successfully. I really like the black sex lynx personally, so I'm kind of wondering how these are going to differ from that breed. We'll have to wait and see. The Eyes of Browns is a pretty well common breed. It's one that a lot of people will raise, as are the Rhode Island Reds, and we have a lot of experience with the Rhode Island Reds. We've used them, or I should say raised them in the past without any real issues. So we'll do an update in about a week and show you their progress and how they're doing. So until then,